I'm Debbie Bell-Hosking for Finextra TV at the SBS Summit 25 in Paris, and I'm joined by Julien de Fosse, Worldwide Financial Services Market Development Lead. And we're talking about all things AI and banking, data regulation, and also a question that's coming up a lot, how to scale. So Julien, welcome.
Thank you. Delighted to be here with you. So nice to meet you.
I had a big list there about our discussion points, but first of all, let's just talk about the role of AI when it comes to customer knowledge and that all-important personalized experience. Are you seeing some use cases that are proving themselves in the industry?
Yeah, thanks for the questions. I think first I will start with the knowledge sharing part of where the banks are investing their time. I think because obviously they were looking for internal kind of productivity, efficiency when it comes to use cases and so on. And of course with the rise of the GPT kind of experience of this world, raised the bar in terms of how actually AI implies a lot of efficiency between the banks. And I think one of the first things that banks have been implementing, it's an internal knowledge sharing base. We're using AI, Gen AI, probably thinking about agentic AI as we speak, really to look at productivity, really to look at how employees can access some of this data in real time for them to prepare customer meetings, for example. I think it's one of the very useful use cases that I see when it comes to corporate banking meetings and so on, where you need to look from some information across the board related to the company that you are targeting as a customer of a bank. Really comes into the place where in a few minutes you will have a report, all the details about what this banks is, what these customers of the banks is looking for. So that's probably one aspect. Then the other aspects that they are looking for, it's optimizing, I would say, the operations as a very, very important topics when it comes to, I would say, middle office and back office optimizations. It goes across lending, it goes across all kind of product, daily banking product. I think that it's one of the aspects that we see banks investing massively. And really to look at how to go for more efficiency for the customer itself and improving their customer experience. Targeting NPS, customer advocacy, and so on behind the scene. Then on the personalization part, I think it's a very, very hot topic as we speak. Banks want to differentiate themselves. The hyper-personalizations, it's one of the aspects that they are looking for. And for that, it's really about how you make sure that you understand the patterns of your customers, how you make sure that you understand better your customers in general, like a customer 360 point of view, that I see a lot of banks investing their time. What is next? I think the future lies into how you will be at the moment of truth of your customers, making sure that you make a purchase decision for them. For example, for consumer loans, for specific payments, you want to increase your payment limits and so on at the moment of point of sales, I would say, in general. And that's a big difference. Before that, without AI, you might have the possibility to increase your daily limit. Here you can do it instantly at the moment where you purchase something like a TV or something like that. So I think the next level will be how banks are building their ecosystem beyond the banks, beyond the banking product. And I think, yeah, the amongst of opportunity in use cases really lies into how they will be able to orchestrate all this ecosystem. And what I mean by ecosystem is housing, mobility, I would say travel and hospitality, and so on and so on.
So we're talking about banks building their ecosystems. They're investing heavily, you've already said that, in AI. We've spoken about personalization, how important that experience is. But can banks really incorporate AI innovation across their daily operations and still maintain that all-important customer trust and be aware of things like security and regulation? It's a big balance.
It's a very, very important, actually, and very important question as well, because as soon as it touches the customer, I would say banks have a very important role to play, of course, towards their customers. Reputational risk, making sure that what they do for their customers is safe, of course, as well, especially when using public cloud and so on. So the first thing that I would say when it's customer facing, most of the banks have been really taking the responsible AI part very as a tangible outcome on how to make sure that it's safe to go for customer-facing applications. What do we put behind the scenes to make sure that it's working? I think first guardrails. So guardrails embedded as well into our platform, and when you think about GenAI, I think it's one of the aspects that it's most important for our customers. How they build and how they upload their policies, how they make sure that actually all the rules that the banks have is incorporated into that, I would say, environment. And then we build as well what we call automated reasoning. So we go beyond really what we could expect. And what I mean by that, it's when you work with large language models, GenAI, we heard a lot about hallucinations and other things that might happen when you use AI. That's really where we tackle all these points one by one, making sure that actually it's safe for their customers, and making sure as well that it's related to what the regulations means. Globally, we see regulations going into a large transformation as well. How do we deal with AI? If we look and we zoom into the European regulations, the AI Act has been in place now for a few months, and I think it's not going away. It will be keeping improving them, makes them as well even more responsible towards what they are using, the way they are using as well AI towards their customer in general, I would say.
That's a lot you've covered there. I mean, let's touch on data, because off camera we're talking about that importance of a really strong data foundation, and as part of the discussions here, even at the summit, it always is, isn't it, when we're working with AI as well. But how educated do you think organizations really are in terms of managing their own data?
So I think the first part on the data side, I want to double click on that because I think it's extremely important. Since 3-4 years now, we see a lot of investment on the data management, the data foundation, like you said. How do we make sure that it's the data governance is in place? And I would say, for me, it's a no-brainer that if you don't put your foundation in place, that you have your data governance in place, that you know exactly what means data for some of your line of business, regulatory report, compliance, and so on, behind the scenes as a complex banks in general, how they operate, will make them very difficult to think about AI, GenAI, and agentic, because we speak about accessing the data, and we speak basically about data quality as well. Well, actually, I'm not covering that right now because it will take more time, but GenAI will imply as well that when you do a project related to data, you can improve your data quality actually behind the scene. Your second question was about where do we sit when you look at large banks and even tier 2, tier 3. I would say it's still a mixed feeling. Some of them have been embracing this for a couple of years and really investing massively into data scientists and data analytics, and behind the scene really putting foundations between centralized model and decentralized model, using some of the potential vendors as well in terms of how they architect behind the scenes, because the architecture, future-proof architecture, is for me a foundation as well for GenAI in the future, for at least for this bank to operate in diverse countries, in diverse languages, and so on. And this, for me, in terms of how I see this, it's like still some banks need some help. They don't know how to do it. They're still struggling on how to put this foundation in place. Some of them have been, like I said, embracing and really recruiting specific talents who give them then to the next level. Some of them have been reorganizing across the board in terms of how they perceive data, appointing chief data officer, chief data analytics. But I could not say that it's like one single model, one size fits all at all. And I still think that we are in the mixed feeling. That's where our role as Amazon Web Services as well is to democratize access to data, and as well giving them access to certifications, trainings for free actually. So that's one part of our...
That's part of the education, the all-important education, so everyone is on the same playing field in a way. And then finally, we're at the SBS Summit, and when we sat down, you said one of the most important questions you're being asked at this event is how do you scale? So we're coming towards the end of our interview, but could I just ask you in short, what's your reply to people who say to you, how do we scale?
And then the first thing I would say, I'll come back to what I just said. Data foundations, it's probably number one thing that banks need to invest. Then second is probably putting some GenAI foundations and platform at the enterprise level. I would say that if you're still doing AI, Gen AI at the line of business level, at our operations level, or even in the group functions like compliance and so on, very fragmented, you will never be able to scale, and you will never be able as well to reuse. And then the term reusability comes all the time as well in terms of what has been approved from a compliance, a legal point of view for one entities should not be done a second time and a third time. I can tell you, I see that all the time, even in large banks. They are replicating this kind of patterns who cost money, who cost time, and create frustrations. So as soon as you get this enterprise level kind of agreement and framework, I would say framework, will give you as well an opportunity to scale and probably to have, like the best in class today, I have able to put 5 to 6 use cases using AI, Gen AI per month. This is the speed of change that we see, where some of them are barely able to do one. So I think the scaling mechanism really lies into how you agree with the foundations, how you add compliance, risk, and legal into that framework as well, so that everybody feels comfortable as well to move forwards toward their own goal, I would say.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you for sharing that, because it's always good to know about the conversations that happen on the floor. And thank you for joining us here for a conversation in our TV studio.
Pleasure. It was a real pleasure. So thank you so much.